In January 2014, IBM announced the sale of its x86 server business to Lenovo, in a sale completed in October of the same year. That is actually the very month that this x3650 M4 was manufactured. Today we are going to play with what I guess is one of the last IBM x86 servers. I plan to set this server up as a file server for my YouTube stuff. But first, let's have some fun and see if we can run some games on it. I bought this IBM untested and without the spec sheet, so I don't know if it works or what the specs are. I did a search of course, but couldn't find much, so this is probably a custom machine pre-configured by IBM. Let's find out together. To the left of the machine, instead of an Intel badge here, there's a sticker that looks like it's factory original. The sticker says disk 0 to 2, system RAID 5. Disk 3 to 5, temp DB RAID 5. Disk 6 to 13, data RAID 10. And instead the Intel Xeon logo is over here, right next to the diagnostic panel. The server came without the CD-ROM drive. And I don't think I need one, but I have a spare drive, so we might as well install it. Underneath here, there's just a blank. Not sure what it's for. We'll check online in a minute. Then we've got two USB ports. All the drive bay seems to be populated with drives, except for these two here. These are just blanks. But the other bays all seems to be populated with IBM branded drives. The first drive here is a 200 gig SAS drive. In fact, all three drives here are labeled 200 gigs. These drives here are 400 gig. And the rest of the drives are 600 gig. I had no idea it came with this much storage. The labels at the front seems to be correct. These drives are IBM branded and they say System X 600 gig 15K SAS drives. And they are absolutely spotless. They actually look brand new. So that's a good start. I had to look it up online, but apparently this is for an optional tape drive. At the back here we have 4 Ethernet connectors and one port for management. This server also has a card with 2 additional Ethernet connectors. And it has onboard graphics and serial. To the right here we have one hot swappable power supply. It's rated for 900 watts. There is only one of them. I don't really need a redundant power supply, but I'll have a look on eBay and see if I can find one for cheap. Remove this tag prior to turning the system on, save for future use. Well, I guess someone forgot to remove it. So let's get inside this beast. Then we can just lift the cover off. Holy smokes, that is spotless. That is a seriously clean machine. Well, I can imagine these angry fans here are blowing the dust out quite efficiently. But this is beyond clean. I can't see a speck of dust. This server looks brand new. I think we're in luck here. This might actually be a spare server that was never put in use. I wonder if there's a way to check in BIOS how many hours it has been turned on. Well, everything is quite clearly labeled. So this is a tray that can hold up to 2 batteries for the RAID controller. This machine has 1 battery. Next I think we can remove this tray here. Under the tray we have 1 CPU and 1 empty socket for a second CPU. Well, since I didn't find a spec sheet, we might as well go ahead and have a look what it is. Look at this. Not a speck of dust. Now let's see what's hiding underneath that heat paste. This is a Xeon E5 2643V2 running at 3.5 GHz. I had to look online and it's a 6-core, 12 threads. And it sits in a spotless LGA 2011 socket. This CPU was discontinued a couple of years ago, so I'll check eBay and see if we can upgrade this machine to take 2 of these. Okay, let's add way too much heat paste, just to annoy some of you guys. And put that heatsink back on. And we've got a shitload of RAM. Let's see what they are. And these are IBM branded Samsung sticks. and they are 32 gigs. At least this one. I'll check the rests. And sure enough, all of these are 32 gigs. And they have matching dates, so they are factory original. And that gives us a silly amount of 256 gigs of RAM. Well, that should be sufficient for a file server. Everything in this machine, marked with this orange color, is hot swappable. Not a speck of dust inside these fans. These are pretty heavy. And probably pretty noisy too. We'll find out in a minute. I haven't checked yet, but I think these guys here are the VRMs. So we can probably just go ahead and install the second CPU. At the back here we have one riser card. I think I have a spare, so we could install the second one. But it's kind of pointless until I get a second CPU. And tucked down here is a RAID controller with the battery attached to it. And tucked in under these cables we have a connector for the CD-ROM drive and one USB port. Over here we have a USB connector marked with blue color. And the blue color means we have to turn the system off to use it. And then we have a power connector here. And I just noticed, hidden away in here is another power connector. So that's great, because we might need it too. Both connectors might actually be fed through the same rail, so in that case it won't matter. Then we have this odd thing here. It's like a small empty bag. I have no idea what it's for, but it probably contains something very small and delivered with the system. I don't think it's a key, because I don't see any locks on this machine. But it has clearly been opened and something has been removed. Okay, let's fire up those angry fans and see if this machine works. 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole. Oh, those were pretty quiet. Those fans are not angry at all. Well, only the fan in the power supply turned on. Ah, here we go. Yeah, those sure are angry fans. And the system posts. Holy crap, those fans are noisy. I'm gonna skip ahead here a bit until those fans calm down. Ah, that's better. But it's still pretty noisy, so I'll put the lid back on. Well, it's not a quick machine to boot. But that is expected, of course. It took about 30 seconds for those fans to calm down. And I'll skip ahead here until I see something interesting on the screen. At the moment it's just initializing the memory. Yes, I think this is a working machine. We're in luck. And at the moment it's connecting boot devices and adapters. Initializing legacy USB device. And we're not hooked up to the network yet. Well, it wouldn't boot. So either the hard drives have been cleaned, or perhaps never installed. And this part of the video is going to be a bit noisy, but it's going to get better. And I have obviously not done my reading about this system. This machine is way more sophisticated than my old server. So there's going to be lots of reading before I put this server into service. Okay, this is looking better. License agreement. Well, I better accept. Welcome to Dynamic System Analysis. Okay, quick Google, and F1 took us into the boot manager. Okay, let's jump into the system settings and reset IMM to default. Oh, I'll skip ahead here. The fans got angry. Okay, so I decided to go with a fixed IP, and I set it to 192.168.1.4. So let's see if this works. Okay, we're in. Good old T60 is hooked up to the matching server. I hope you like the choice of mouse for the server, by the way. So let's see if we can find something useful in here. This feature requires a valid activation key to be installed. Fail. Well, I'll see if I can find a key. Maybe we can access the fan settings directly from the machine. Okay, let's try to install Windows. Connecting boot devices and adapters. Let's see if the server is correctly set up to boot from that USB. Yes, this is working! Well, I guess we better install an SSD next. These are bloody security bits. That's not nice, IBM. But I have a compact screwdriver, so they're not getting away with this. Well, we're not going to install an SSD in this machine. I just realized these are SSDs. Same thing goes for this drive. This drive too. And these 400 gig drives too, apparently. Yep, all of them. These larger drives are regular SAS drives. So this server should be plenty fast. Okay, let's install Windows. Well, I gamble a lot when I buy stuff for the channel to keep the costs down. And sometimes I win big. I'm obviously not going to run Windows 10 on this server. This is just for today's shenanigans. Minor problem, I don't have access to any of the drives. I guess we need to set up the RAID controller. Well, that's a funky looking RAID controller. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's grab drive 0. Okay, this took a few minutes and I skipped ahead here. But I think we have a working RAID now. Okay, while we download Windows Server, let's upgrade the server with the CD-ROM. Well, the Windows Server 2019 isn't finished downloading yet. But now that we have a CD-ROM drive, let's try an older version. So, Windows Server 2008. Let's see if it will recognize the RAID. Okay, let's go with custom. And no, it doesn't see any drives. So, that's probably not a problem with Windows 10. This is something else. Okay, next up, let's install Lenovo X-Clarity. And being an IBM server, I went with an older version. So I went with version 13.0.1 and it has 38 updates. Okay, X-Clarity installed on the USB. There's something odd here though. If I choose any of these settings here, go next. Warning, it's not recommended to install the following packages. That's a bit odd. I guess I'll skip them and just go with the critical. Well, everything is taking so much time in this project. Now the update is complete. So let's boot and see if we can install Windows. Okay, we're booting to the Windows 10 USB. Let's see if it will recognize the drives. Well, the installation crashed. Something isn't quite right with this machine. Okay, let's try an older Windows Server version from the DVD. And see if the problem is with the USB stick or the server. Well, that's odd. It didn't boot from the CD-ROM. Instead it took me here. But let's try and boot from device and pick the CD-ROM again. Okay, it didn't crash. So why isn't it happy with Windows 10? Well, the installation starts, but I can't see the drives. But that is probably my fault. So I'll see if I made a mistake when initializing the drive. I guess it could be the drivers for the RAID controller. I need to check. Well, there are two ways to configure the RAID. There's a web interface, and that's what I have used so far. But let's try this method too. Perhaps I can spot my mistake. Okay, let's get down to storage. Okay, I think I found my virtual drive here. That's basically just drive 0. So let's toss it and start over. Select operation, delete virtual drive. And go, perhaps? Are you sure you want to delete? Yes, I'm sure. Okay, so we have no virtual drives anymore. Let's create a new virtual drive. We'll go with RAID 0. Let's select a drive. Okay, so I'm skipping ahead quite a bit here, because this is pretty tedious and a lot of guesswork. But I found the drives now. So let's pick drive 0. And let's name it HDD0 and save. The software is pretty crappy, and then I need to go to this go here. Initializing drive, confirm, yes. It may take several minutes or several hours. That's a bit slow, but we can see here when it's done at least. So I'll skip ahead again. Okay, I'm skipping ahead here quite a bit. For some bloody reason, when I try to initialize the hard drive, the damn thing just hangs. So I tried a couple of times. Then I decided to go into the web BIOS and initialize the hard drive that way. And that finally worked. But Windows 10 still crashes, so that didn't help. Same thing with Windows 2022. So maybe these servers aren't compatible with Windows 10 or Server 2022. Okay, while we wait for Windows 2019 to download, let's have a second go with 2008 and see if it can recognize my partition. Okay, fingers crossed. I spent so many hours just waiting for this machine to boot, downloading files, waiting for updates. No, you're kidding me. Still no drives. Well, I'm getting desperate here. Let's try with a new RAID controller and see if it helps. So we're back at Windows 10. No, that didn't help. I didn't really expect it either. Okay, let's try the next thing. Let's install those updates that we were recommended to skip. Warning, it's not recommended to install the following packages. Let's proceed anyways. Okay, let's try Windows 10 again. Let's see if this helped. No, that didn't help. Okay, let's do this the way I did it back in the day. You may have seen my year 2000 Dream Machine video. That machine had a RAID controller that wasn't recognized by Windows, but I had a diskette with the drivers. So let's try the same trick here. Now they are on a USB, of course. So I downloaded the drivers from IBM and then I extracted the exe file. And this is the content of that file. Well, it found the driver. Let's click next. Device driver could not be installed. Contact your vendor. I guess I should call IBM. Crap. Well, it was worth a try. Okay, loading Windows Server 2019. This is actually the system I plan to run on this machine. If we can make this damn thing work. Okay, fingers crossed. Holy smokes! Seriously, why is this working? This is nuts. I can't believe this machine is only compatible with this version of Windows. Okay, I had to take a break here and do some thinking, because this defies logic. It's quite possible that Windows 10 and Server 2022 don't support the Xeon E5 2645 V2. I will check, of course. But why won't Server 2008 and 2012 work? That doesn't make any sense at all. Unfortunately, I don't think I can blame the server. I'm probably doing something wrong here, but I don't know what. Hopefully someone will tell us in the comment section and we will learn something. I find it quite ironic that the only Windows that is working in this machine is the version that I actually intend to use. In accordance to Murphy's Law, that was of course the last version we tried. So let's get Windows on this machine and see if everything works as it should. Okay, that's enough of serious server stuff. Let's go silly and have some fun with the server. How about turning it into a gaming rig? That should be silly enough. So in order to do this, we are gonna need to remove some stuff, because there isn't quite room enough for a large graphics card. But first we need to install a second CPU, because the first riser card is too tight to fit the graphics card. So this Xeon is a bit slower than the one we have installed, but this is what we've got. So that's what we'll use, and we need to replace this CPU here with a matching Xeon. We'll check what the fastest CPU this board can take and upgrade, but not today. So let's remove half of these RAM sticks. Now that we have two CPUs. There is actually information in the lid of the server on how to do this, so I'm gonna skip ahead here. Okay, quick test here, and everything seems okay. We now have two Xeons. These are two E5 2630 running at 2.3 GHz, and we still have 256 gigs of RAM. All good so far. I also got some help installing the script here that makes this server nice and quiet. I didn't have time to look into it myself, but if you Google this, I'm sure you will find the script. Okay, let's install a graphics card. Now that we have a second CPU, we can remove the sticker here and install the riser card in the second slot. Now let's see if this crazy contraption here will work. Well, barely. There are absolutely no margins whatsoever. The graphics card is sitting on top of this heatsink, and the power cables are touching the heatsink. So if it was 1 millimeter larger, it wouldn't actually fit. I'm not going to bother making custom cables for this card to work in this server. So I'm just going to feed the cable out the back and use an external power supply. Without the air duct installed, we better at least have the lid on. And hopefully enough air will pass through the CPUs. Yes, it works! So the onboard graphics turned off after about half a minute. And now we've got graphics from the GeForce card. I searched Google for quite a bit, but I couldn't actually find any information to whether this combination would work. But I think it does. At least we have something coming out of that GeForce card. And it boots to Windows. We're doing quite well here. And you should be able to hear the difference once the script starts running. That is a huge difference. So now the power supply is actually the noisiest part of the server. Okay, installing the NVIDIA drivers. And the closest I could get to Windows 2019 is the Windows 10 version. So let's hope this works. And it worked! Awesome! So apparently Windows 10 drivers will do just fine. Ah crap, we've got an error. Let's boot and see what happens. It looks like it's working, because we do have decent graphics now. The error went away, so I think we're all good. Everything seems to be working. This display is a bit of a silly choice for gaming, but this is the easiest way for me to test this. Gaming without sound is no fun, so let's try to install the Focusrite. Well, I doubt Focusrite considered servers when they made these drivers, but I'm pretty sure this version of server is based off Windows 10. So let's just hope for the best, because I don't think I have a modern sound card. Most of my sound cards are for ISA slots. Okay, I think this is working. Yes, we definitely have sound. Great! Okay, I guess the next step is Steam. Okay, apparently Steam would run quite happily on a server. I turned the script off while I was installing to keep the server nice and cool. By the way, I don't recommend anyone to do this. This is of course completely bonkers, and you would risk damaging your server. Although with some more modifications, you could probably run this safely as a permanent solution. Now let's see if this actually works. Yes, I think it works. Question is it quick enough? Well, we've got no sound. I think the Focusrite is a bit confused. Running on a server. And yeah, now it works. It just needed a reboot. Yeah, this runs pretty smooth. No problems whatsoever.
Awesome, unregistered Gaplander.
Hi.
Let's move around a bit and see if everything is nice and smooth.
There was a strange smell. Those birds weren't going to let me anywhere near the back of the truck.
Yeah, I'll say this is running as smooth as it could. There are no issues whatsoever. This crazy project actually works. This file server is now a gaming rig. And a pretty decent one. Just runs. And it's really smooth. So if you need a gaming rig on a budget, pick up an old IBM server and you're gonna do pretty well. If you're watching this in the future, there will be a link here to a video where we do the actual configuration and install the server. If you're watching this video fresh, hit the bell icon below and set it to all if you want to join me in the next video. I'm not sure yet if I should make that video or move on to the next project. Let me know if you think I should. And now is a good time to watch the year 2000 Dream Machine video. I would like to end this video by saying thank you to my patrons. You guys are great, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll start recording the next video.